Hey guys, Cubby and Brandon here with our comic reviews for you this week. We got some awesome Marvel, DC, and IDW books.
We also got Boom, Dark Horse, and some pretty cool Image, so
check it out.
So this week I got to pick up Creator-Owned Heroes #4, a book I've been trying to read for a couple months now. Each issue of Creator-Owned Heroes has 2 different stories going on, and it really makes for a good contrasting read for yourself, and you get a lot more for your dollar. In this issue we get part 4 of Trigger Girl 6 and American Muscle. All I have to say is the creators on these books, they speak for themselves. Jimmy Palmiotti, Justin Gray, Phil Noto, I mean, there's so many names in this, and you really want to pick up these books just based off of those names because we know what they've created before, and you just want to keep on reading stuff from these people. So these 2 books are actually some good reads. You'll enjoy them. The art's fantastic in both of them, and they're completely different stories. Trigger Girl 6 takes place in the future. American Muscle kind of takes place in a Western style. It's very good. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. Check it out.
Hey there guys, Cubby here with my comic reviews this week. I get to read Hawkeye #2, and wow, not only was this a great issue because of course it is Hawkeye, but there was 2 Hawkeyes in this issue, so even better. Kate Bishop, she has been running around with Clint Barton, and she's pretty much his assistant in this issue. They kind of establish their relationship, how they work together, how they interact with the world, and how they use their relationship and her cover to kind of infiltrate certain things, and it's a really, really awesome issue. It sets up a lot of stuff that's going to be happening, future issues. Totally at the end, you see that a lot of people are really pissed at Clint Barton, and a lot of people are going to go at it. One really cool thing that stood out, there was actually 2 things that stood out. Really great narrative between Kate Bishop and Clint Barton. They had a really great relationship. They build some really, really cool things with them, between them, that I really want to see like flourish and bloom into something else. A really great mentor relationship, but there's also a little bit of romance in there. It's kind of throwing me for a loop, but I like it. I really enjoy it. And there's also these great parts where they show Clint kind of just zoning in, figuring out how to make a shot, and it shows you how he does it with the world around him and how he's able to just close everything out, focus on one thing, and it's absolutely amazing. It's what makes him the best archer in any comic book. Yes, I said it. Screw you, Green Arrow. Anyways, this issue was really, really awesome. I'm giving it 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls, not only because it's Hawkeye, but it's actually a really, really awesome book, and it's drawn wonderfully. It's amazing and really, really beautiful. So check it out if you want a really good comic book, Hawkeye #2.
Hey guys, I've got Buffy Season 9, Issue 13 for you. Now this was my first attempt at reading the actual Buffy comics since when they first started Season 7, because I just didn't like the way that the characters were written. But I just figured, why not, I'll just pick it up. And it's still not that much better. There was a moment at the end where Buffy actually felt written in character, which I was really impressed by. But one of the biggest problems that I had was that none of the other characters were in it. There was a character who I think was Faith from the way she looked. Otherwise it was Kennedy, or Kennedy and Faith were both in it. I don't even know. But one of the other things that really bothered me about it is that they're using Wolfram and Hart. I don't really know exactly what their presence is. I didn't hear that much about it, but it kind of bothers me. It feels like they're running out of things to write about because it's such an angel thing that I just feel like it belongs in that world and shouldn't be brought into Buffy's comics. Now, yeah, I know that I'm going into part 3, so I didn't know the beginning, but I feel like it should have drawn me and made me want to read the first 2 issues. And it didn't. So I'm only gonna give this book 1.5 Nerd Skulls.
Hey guys, Brandon here, and I got to read Phantom Stranger #0, book I was really looking forward to. I was a little taken back by the whole idea of a Phantom Stranger book because the whole deal is we don't know his origin and we never have. So I went into this just a little not as excited as I thought I'd be, but the book is very, very good. This gives me a lot of hope for the ongoing Phantom Stranger series that's going to be coming out. You do get his origin, you do get his purpose and what he's going to be doing within this new 52 universe. Like I said, I was a little hesitant, but I'm on board with this. You have the introduction of another character we have yet to see in the new 52, and I'm interested to see how he plays directly into this book. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm giving it 4 to 5 Nerd Skulls, and you guys should pick it up.
I almost never read X-Men titles, but this week I picked up the first X-Men #2. because Neil Adams and Christos Gage write this book. So I really wanted to check it out because I'm a huge Neil Adams fan as far as his artwork goes, and he does pencil the pages and cover in this book. So I had to pick it up. It does read exactly like any X-Men title you can expect. X-Men Legacy, they all read the same way to me, and that's partially why I don't really read a lot of X-Men titles. This one, it's a new storyline, so that's kind of appealing for most people, and that was appealing for me. I really liked getting to read the beginning again, but it is the beginning again of X-Men, so, and it's got a little bit of tweaks here and there. It's up to you if you really want to read that all over again. For me, the writing really didn't sell it for me. The art was fantastic because it's Neil Adams, but the writing did not sell it. I'm going to give this book 2 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
All right, guys, so I also got to read The Victories by Michael Avon Oeming this week, and again, this one blew me out of the water. I did not expect a really like dirty and gritty book to look this cartoony. Like, I love the style. I love the way it's drawn. It reminds me of a like Darwin Cook-esque story, but a lot dirtier. Michael Avon Oeming has a very, very distinct style. Yes, it's like Darwin Cook, very stylized, but it's more angular. It's not as refined. It gives this story in particular, with its grittiness, its darkness, its craziness. It totally amplifies that, and I love it. I can't get enough of this book. I can't wait to see where the story goes. We get a little more backstory on the actual members of the team. In the first issue, it mainly focused on Faustus. This one opens with him, and then it introduces everyone else, and you kind of see how they work together, how they play together. And again, it's the second issue, and it's really, really building up the story. Can't wait to see where this goes. A lot of great plot threads were laid out. So again, if you want a really, really good original take on superheroes, it's really, really dark and gritty, this is the book that you need to be reading. The Victories, number 2, is getting 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls as well.
Hey guys, we've got True Blood number 4 for you, and this book is doing what they did before in the comics when each issue focused on a character's story. This one was Alcide's. I personally don't really like when they do that because I want to hear the story from everybody all at once, kind of like the actual show. And that's weird for me to say because I love Alcide. I'm fine with seeing a lot of Alcide, but it just didn't fit right. I mean, the one thing that was interesting about it was the vampire villain Remus. I was kind of afraid that he was going to be a little bit too much like Russell Edgington, but what they did with him was really interesting. I feel like the conclusion came a little bit too fast, a little too easy, but it was interesting to see it happen. So I was actually a little bit surprised by this issue. I thought it was going to be really, really bad, and I found it to be kind of decent. I'm going to give it 2.5 Nerd Skulls.
Alrighty, I got to read Green Lantern issue 0. The introduction of the new Green Lantern, Baz, and this was done really well. I mean, when is it Jeff Johns ever not doing something incredibly awesome? This ruled. I love that we have this new Green Lantern and we show exactly how he got brought into the fold and why it looks like he's going to be a little more high profile than before. You know, with the new direction the New 52's taken and the Justice League being public and all that kind of stuff, I'm interested to see how this character and his background ties into all the current events going on and how he ends up on the Justice League of America team that will be coming out real soon. But yeah, Jeff Johns knocks it out of the park. We got a super cool last page in this. So awesome. But yeah, stoked to read more. 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
So last month I reviewed Harvest #1, a new Image title, and I'm always up for reading a #1 in Image because, I mean, it's Image Comics. It's one of my favorite producers of comics. In Harvest #2, they really take the story even further. If you don't know, this is a book about a surgeon who is really down on his luck and he loses his job, so he depends on harvesting people's organs for this unforeseen company. And of course, that's going to have some bearings on his own morale and everything like that. The book is really good. It's drawn really well. A.J. Lieberman does the writing, and he makes me want to read another one every single time. He ends it really well, and it just scares the crap out of me, this book, how he could do something like this to just random people. But I highly recommend it. I'm even going to give it 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
All right, guys, I got to read Action Comics #0 this week, and I'm a little confused with this book. Now, it's a great story. It's a great standalone issue. Clark Kent and Jimmy Olsen have a great scene together, a great couple scenes together, great interactions. It's laying that groundwork for their friendship. He doesn't know he's Superman yet. but eventually I think he'll come to know, he'll come to pass, and he'll get a little cool communicator watch. One thing that really threw me for a loop, it really confused me after reading last week in Justice League that Wonder Woman and Superman are kind of like a thing now, that Lois Lane is like interested and Clark Kent is interested in Lois Lane. So I don't know if that's going to be like some crazy soap opera-y romance triangle or what, but I'm all down for it because stuff like that's really awesome. And I want to see Wonder Woman or Lois Lane beat up each other. I think that'd be really cool. Anyways, this issue really shows some great iconic moments of Superman, some awesome saving children last minute, his losing his cape, kids using the cape as like a defense mechanism and as a weapon at one point. It seems like Grant Morrison is really trying to get a real world feel for this book and wants to put Superman in a very, very real environment. And he's doing a really good job of it. Just sometimes it feels a little not too real. Like he's trying to be too real and it just seems kind of fake. I don't know. I've never been in a situation that's presented in this book, so I can't say yes or no. But really great action. There's some really great moments that of course, you cheer for Superman because he's doing the things that you want him to do. And really great backstory, and they're building up a lot of cool things. It's a brand new universe, and they have a ton of backstory they're trying to introduce. This is the 0 issue. It's been 12 issues, and we're finally starting to see some really cool stuff. I can't wait to see where this goes. Please read this. I'm going to give this one 3.5 Nerd Skulls.
I got to read Guarding the Globe #1. This is always a fun book. I love the Image universe and the superheroes within the Invincible and Astounding Wolfman and all those books, all those superheroes. I love that whole group, and I love seeing them operate as a bigger group. The artwork's phenomenal. The story's really cool. Picking up, really easy to jump on. I mean, if you haven't been reading this, I'll just pick it up and start because it was a really good jumping on point. I've been behind Invincible a couple of issues, but they kind of catch you up to speed. And yeah, I mean, I enjoyed this. I'm giving it 3 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
Hey guys, I read Love and Capes #2 this week, and the one thing that drew me to this book was the art because it was something different from what I normally read. It was kind of comic strip art, but in a comic book. The story is about a married couple, and they just found out that they're pregnant in issue 1, and the twist is that the husband is a superhero. Some of the interactions were fun, but it felt a little bit too much like just a day in the life of someone learning about being pregnant. I think that this would be a really interesting comic for pregnant nerds, but other than that, I don't know, I couldn't even really finish it just because there wasn't enough going for me. So I'm gonna give this book 2 Nerd Skulls.
So this week, issue #3 of the Cape 1969 comes out. It is really good. I love the Cape. It was surprisingly good to me. The first arc before the 1969, with the one that takes place in modern time, was just really eerie and sick, and I wanted to read more. It's a concept created by Joe Hill, the son of Stephen King. You can really not expect anything less. The story is actually written by Jason Ciaramella, but he writes it very well. This book is set in 1969, where a person in Vietnam is kind of held prisoner of war, and he realizes what abilities he has, and he uses them to his advantage. This issue just makes it crazy. There's blood everywhere, and I really love the art style. I highly recommend it. I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
So I also got to read Conan #8 this week, and wow, another really, really great title. This week has just been awesome for books. This one in particular, though, just Brian Wood is doing a really great job of adapting this old Conan story into this comic book form. It just works wonderfully. Becky Cloonan is not in this issue, but her replacement artist is actually really awesome, and he fits the book really well. Is a great replacement artist because it's similar in her style, but not too much like her to give it kind of a different feel. You see some really great moments of Conan kind of remembering his childhood, his interactions with the Black Queen. They're very thoughtful and thought-provoking, and they both sense that the relationship is pretty much done with, but they both care for each other, and they both like each other as they are. They just know that together they will not work. And it's kind of sad to see it because reading this issue, or reading this series, their relationship has been growing really well. It starts off fiery hot, and now they're in Chimera, and it's really cold, and of course that flame is gone. And it's kind of this great metaphor for Conan and where he's from, and she thinks he knows him, she thinks he can figure him out, but she doesn't know anything. She is not from his world, and he needs to do what he needs to do. And Man, I do not want to give too much away of this issue. It is really, really good, and this whole series has been amazing. Go check it out. I'm giving this one 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
I gave The Creep #1 a read, and it was pretty good. I don't know if there was another series before this or what's really going on. I'm not familiar with this character. I don't know if it's new. Please let me know. I'm not well-rounded on some Dark Horse books, but I was a little in the dark what's going on with the main character. It seems that he has a disorder and it affects a lot of different things. I was a little confused with the book just because there's a lot of things going on, and this might just be one of those books that everything gets figured out as it goes on. It's interesting enough that I want to keep on reading because I'm eager to learn what else is happening in the book. But like I said, I was a little confused. It's a good read, but I just wasn't clear on everything. So I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
Hey guys, I've got a review of Earth 2 #0 for you. And this one is definitely a prequel, so we get to see Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman alive. Now, I also have a problem with that because we didn't get to see them enough because it's narrated completely from a different character who is actually Mr. Terrific, but not Mr. Terrific because it's Earth 2. He's a very different character, and that's interesting to see, but it's so heavily narrated. I just kind of felt that almost a lot of the writing was a bit gimmicky. I've been loving Earth 2, for the record. I just wasn't quite feeling this one. I'm gonna give it 2 Nerd Skulls.
Jim here with my review of Archer and Armstrong #2 from Valiant Comics. If you remember, about a month ago I reviewed issue #1, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I liked how it combines history, religion, mythology, and all these sects and sort of cults that we know of in the history of the United States and the world, but we don't know much about them. This book continues right where it left off from issue 1, where Archer basically finds out that he was brainwashed by his parents who belong to the 1%. I'll let you decide who the 1% is. It's pretty obvious that it's very similar to modern day, and that is the people that hold the wealth. They are after these, what they're calling boon, which are these artifacts that when you put it together, I'm assuming we'll find out this super weapon or what have you, in order to prevent this sect from getting it, Archer and Armstrong have to team up, which is a great team up because basically you have a man who has walked the earth for 10,000 years and is pretty much an atheist, and this true believer who's a kid who has full faith in God. They're having to team up to find these artifacts. I absolutely love it. I highly recommend it. I'm going to give this one 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
I was fortunate enough to read Planet of the Apes Cataclysm #1. Always been a fan of the Planet of the Apes movie series, so I figured, hey, #1 of a comic book, I'll jump right in. Pretty interesting. It's very science, first 3/4 of the book, so it wasn't too, crazy to begin with, but the ending, something really big happens, and I'm intrigued to see where this goes. Like something really big, something that was never brought up in any of the movies, anything like that. So I kind of want to see what that means and what this leads to. And it seems like there's a lot of mystery from what was going on with man, which is why this is happening now. But yeah, I'm going to pick this up. I'm definitely going to read #2. I'm giving it 3 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. That's all the comics we have for you this week, but until next week, be sure to check us out on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and nerdlocker.com for all your nerdy news. My name's Brandon.
And I'm Cubby.
And we'll see you next week for even more comic reviews.